Do you know what actually makes someone regret losing you? Not silence, not jealousy, not pretending you're happy without them. It's a psychological shift, a shift so powerful that when it happens, they don't just miss you, they feel the loss. And the moment you understand this shift, you'll stop trying to trigger regret because it will happen on its own. When someone walks away, your instinct is to react. You want to prove your value. You want to show them what they lost. You want them to feel the absence. I remember staring at my phone, hoping for a message, not because I loved them that much, but because I needed confirmation, confirmation that I mattered. And that's when I learned something uncomfortable. You can disappear from someone's life and still be emotionally owned by them. That's why most people fail at making someone regret losing them. They change their behavior, but they don't change their position. The first mistake? You're performing. You start improving, but loudly. You start glowing up, but visibly. You start acting unbothered, but strategically. And deep down, you're asking one silent question. Are they watching? The moment your growth is directed at them, it loses authenticity. Performance is attachment in disguise. If you're posting to provoke a reaction, you're still reacting. Real power begins when your improvement becomes private, when you go to the gym because discipline matters, when you build your life because peace matters, not because they're watching. You stop proving. You start building. But here's where most people get confused. Stopping the performance isn't enough, because you can stop performing and still crave their validation. And that craving keeps you emotionally beneath them. You don't just want them back. You want them to admit they were wrong. You want the apology. You want the recognition. You want the sentence that says, "I lost someone valuable." Because that sentence repairs your ego. But when your self-worth depends on their realization, you're still tied to their approval, and nobody regrets losing someone who still needs to be chosen. Let me ask you something honestly. If they texted you tonight and said, "I miss you," would your heartbeat change? Would you feel relief? Write it in the comments. Yes or no. Would you take them back right now? Your answer exposes your emotional position. Because here's the shift. Detachment starts deeper than silence. It's not about ignoring them. It's about not needing them. When you no longer require their apology to feel complete, you rise above the dynamic. And that's when things begin to change. Most people misunderstand no contact. They think it's about cutting communication. It's not. It's about cutting emotional access. You can block someone and still replay memories every night. You can ignore their stories and still hope they notice your absence. That's not strength. That's suppressed attachment. Real emotional unreachability is calm. Their name doesn't disturb your nervous system. Their presence doesn't destabilize you. Their absence doesn't define your day. You move forward, genuinely, not to prove something, not to trigger regret, but because you've outgrown the version of you that tolerated less. And here's something critical. But distance alone doesn't create regret. Because if you're still the same person inside, they will sense it the moment they return. Emotional distance without internal growth is just silence. And silence is temporary. Transformation is permanent. Anyone can improve their appearance. Few improve their standards. Did you fix your boundaries? Did you address your fear of abandonment? Did you stop over-explaining yourself? Did you stop chasing closure? Because real growth changes your energy. You speak less. You tolerate less. You walk away faster. You don't argue to be understood. You don't beg to be chosen. You observe and you decide. And once that internal upgrade happens, that's where the real shift occurs. You stop caring whether they regret losing you. And ironically, that's when regret becomes inevitable. Here's the truth no one tells you. People don't regret losing attention. They regret losing access. Access to your validation. Access to your emotional reactions. Access to your availability. When they realize they can't trigger you anymore, can't assume you'll always respond, can't return to the same version of you, their perception changes. They start replaying memories. They question their decision. They feel the absence. But by that time, you're no longer waiting. You're no longer hoping. You're no longer trying to be chosen. You chose yourself. And that's the ultimate power. Because when you stop fearing loss, you become irreplaceable. Not because you forced regret, but because you evolved beyond the version they thought they could come back to. That's how you make them realize what they lost. Not through revenge, not through silence, not through performance, through transformation. And once you transform, regret becomes automatic.